Hey everybody, Eric Pate here, back with another video. So today I am going to go through the timeline of events that occurred on September 11th, 2001. And talked about why everyone knows this day was significant because it changed our world forever. So I'm going to go through the timeline in a little bit of a breakdown and and a few other things about the attacks on September 11th. I'm not just going to talk about the 108 minutes that changed the world on the timeline. We are going to start at the very when the first plane takeoff to the time the North Tower collapsed. So here we go. At 7:59 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 is taken off from Boston Logan Airport. It's heading for LAX. 15 minutes later, at 8:14 a.m., United Airlines Flight 175 is taken off from Boston, heading also to LAX. Right at this time is when American 11 is hijacked. At 8:21 at Washington's Dulles Airport, American Airlines Flight 77 is taken off also to LAX. 2 minutes later, this announcement was made from Mohammed Atta, the hijacker pilot on Flight 11. We have some planes, just stay quiet and we'll be okay. We're returning to the airport. At 8:42 a.m., United Airlines Flight 93 is taken off from Newark, and this one was heading to San Francisco. At a speed of 466 miles an hour, American 11 is crashing into the North Tower of the World Trade Center, killing roughly about 1,700, including all 92 people on Flight 11. At the same time, United 175 is hijacked. At 8:50, American 77 gets hijacked as well. Now, unlike Flight 11 and Flight 175, the hijackers killed the pilots on those two planes. But according to the air disasters, they somehow successfully got the pilots out of the cockpit alive, and everybody was alive on board Flight 77 before the event I'm going to discuss here in just a few minutes that involved Flight 77. At 9:03, United 175 is crashing into the South Tower of the World Trade Center at a speed of 590 miles an hour, killing all 65 on board, with an estimated 1,000 additional in the South Tower. I had the exact number that died at the World Trade Center. They on the back of this paper. Now, I couldn't find exact number of people that died in each tower, so including everybody on the planes. So I can't really give you an accurate number. At 9:28, United 93 gets hijacked. Well, that's the time the pilots yell "Mayday," knowing because they started taking over the plane. The hijackers on 993 started taking over the planes. At 9:37 a.m., American 77 at a speed of 530 miles an hour slams into the Pentagon, killing all 64 people. This actually had an accurate number, plus 125 in the Pentagon, with a total of 189 deaths. 2 minutes after the crash of 77, this announcement is said by lead hijacker, the hijacker pilot on 993 is, "This is Captain. I'd like to order you to remain seated. There's a bomb on board. We're going back to the airport. We have our demands." There is a little bit of gap, but between 9:30, 9:40, and around 9:55, people on United 93 are calling families, letting them know they've been hijacked. Around this time, it's already known that at least 2 planes have been hijacked, and the people on United 93 are informed that, hey, you are not the only plane hijacked. the two planes have flown in the World Trade Center, and they were hijacked. And American Airlines is saying that they have lost Flight 11. United Airlines have yet to report about them losing Flight 175, but at this time we probably know by now. If I remember watching the newscast all the way through, I watched it on YouTube because I was born 2 months after 9/11, but somebody put up the whole CNN newscast on the September 11th attacks, and I watched it, and they roughly around 9:40 they were saying something about that American 11 was missing, and that maybe 77's missing as well. But everyone's being informed on the United 93 that, hey, this is not the only hijacking that has happened today. A few passengers came up with a plan that, hey, we're going to retake the plane ourselves. Because around 9:55, this is said, 9:57 was the exact time it was said. But this is said by Lisa Jefferson, who was talking to Todd Beamer during this time, and he was informing Jefferson that, hey, we have a plan that we're going to retake the aircraft. We're going to try to retake the aircraft. And so Jefferson overheard Todd Beamer. That's who she was talking to, was Todd Beamer, saying, "Are you ready? Okay, let's roll." Then next thing you know, a fight just broke out on United 93. While the fight is happening on United 93, the South Tower collapses. The hijackers know the passengers were trying to retake the plane, so what they decided to do instead was to prevent them from retaking the plane, and just went ahead and crashed it in an empty field in Pennsylvania. The Flight 93 movie was showing that it barely missed a Cessna. I don't know if that is true, but United 93 crashes in just an empty field in Pennsylvania at a speed of 563 miles an hour, killing all 44 people on board instantly. At 10:28, the North Tower collapses. Somebody told me that during the whole, for like 2 or 3 days after, that was all on TV. It's always every time you turned on TV, it was something. It was showing. They could not stop talking about the attacks. I wouldn't be surprised if I would not have been surprised if that was the case, if it was even talked about actually even a couple months after. I was told all planes were grounded until September 13th. There was no, and if you were at the airport for a flight, they kept you there. And according to a documentary I watched called The Fifth Plane, that they kept all planes grounded until either the 13th or the 14th is what the documentary said. I couldn't remember. It's the Fifth Plane documentary was talking about the plane that could have been the fifth plane in it, and there was a lot of credible evidence that the plane they talked about could have been the fifth plane. There was the United 93 thing. Everyone was thinking it was the Delta flight that was the one that was hijacked on the radar, but then they found out it was actually United 93 that was the hijacked one, and then there was a Korean Air that was suspected to be hijacked over Canada. And then I watched, so I thought the documentary was about one of those two, but nope, it was about another United Airlines flight leaving from New York, but it was leaving from the John F. Kennedy Airport. But before they even had a chance at taking off from JFK, the captain got word from the FAA that, hey, New York airspace has been shut down. But he already got informed that there were cockpit breaches. The captain was informed that day, hey, there was cockpit breaches going on. So he decided to barricade, got his suitcase and his first officer's suitcase, barricaded against the door or something, and then got another heavy thing to put against the door. He got the crash axe that was in the cockpit, and then gave the first officer a fire extinguisher, because if they was to get into the cockpit, he would had they had weapons to fight back with. On this day, a total of 2,996 people died. 2,763 people of those were at the World Trade Centers. That's including on flights 11 and 175. 189 people died at the Pentagon. That's including everybody that was on board American 77. And 44 people died. That was on United 93. Luckily, only those 44 people suffered fatalities on United 93. Only those 44 people on board. There was 5 hijackers on flights 11, 175, and 77. There was 4 on 93. I was told this was the worst day for firefighters because 343 people were firefighters, 71 were police. Luckily, it was all New York. Luckily, they were all New York. I couldn't find if any first responders died at the Pentagon. All 4 of these airports decided to do this, and I think it's a really good gesture. That American flag has been placed at the following gates at these airports. At these 4 gates at these airports. At Boston Logan's, there's American flag above B as in boy, 32 at Boston, and that was where Flight 11 departed out up from. At C-19, also at Boston Logan, there's American flag, and that's where Flight 175 took off out from. D as in dog, 26 at Dulles, where American 77 was, and A-17 at Newark, where United 93 took off from. Everyone's telling me that was the worst plane crash of all time, but honestly, it is not. This was not a plane crash. These weren't plane crashes at all. These were deliberate terrorist attacks. I would argue the fact that, yes, these were plane crashes, but these weren't accidents. I would say the worst aviation accident of all time, I already did a video on, a whole 20-minute video on, which I will put in the description below, was the Tenerife one. But yeah, even though probably times 4 of the deaths that were in the September 11th attacks were from those 4 times the amount of deaths from the September 11th attacks and what was at Tenerife, because at Tenerife there was like 560 something, 63 I think there was at Tenerife. Couldn't remember the number off the top of my head. While on the September 11th attacks were nearly 3,000 people. Do I think though these attacks could have been prevented? Well, okay, before this day, we didn't have very tight security at Logan. No, at any actually airports in general, we didn't have tight security really to single that, hey, there was knives on, because all 19 of these, but I think only one hijacker had a bomb, and that was the one on 93. But the others had box cutter knives, and I think if we have had some credible, like a security system we have now, definitely these attacks would have been prevented. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't think I ever mentioned this, but 3 times I went on a commercial flight. I went through TSA. Twice at XNA. No, wait. That number's wrong. 3 times at XNA. 2 times at Dallas Fort Worth. 2 times at Tulsa. 2 times at Charlotte. 1 time at Houston. So 10 times total. Wait, I'm missing one. Yes, I am. And 1 time at left field. 3 of those times I had to be patted down, but that was because that was something on my part. The Charlotte one, actually, the machine messed up on me while I was doing this. The machine messed up on me. What happened was when I had my hands in the air, I was wearing, even though this was during the summertime, I was wearing sweatpants. I was wearing exercise pants, and that had zippers, and it had a little bit of metal on the zippers. And it went off. And so they had to pull me off to the side. And they're just like, hey, we're just going to go ahead and pat you down and just make sure you're okay. Just make sure you have... Because it shouldn't have went off if those are just zippers, it shouldn't have went off. And then I went through TSA when I got patted down at Tulsa. That was when I went from Tulsa to Charlotte. When I was going through TSA there, I trying to remember what happened. Was that the one where I accidentally had coins in my pocket? Or was that Charlotte that I accidentally had coins in my pocket? No, it was both. I accidentally had coins in my pocket, and I was wearing a hat, and I did not feel my hat was on, and they made me. So I said I did not realize until it was my turn that there was coins in my pocket. I'm like, oh, I have coins in my pocket, but my stuff was already coming out of the scanner. The tubs that you put your stuff in, my stuff was already coming out of the scanners, and I'm like, shit, I have coins in my pocket. So they told me to so what they had me do was, in one hand, have this fist closed, and then do this. And but it set off like right here, but that was because of my hat. And then there's something else I might not have. I didn't have anything in my pocket, but it still send a single signal to the machine. So they just went ahead and did another quick pat down on me. And then the third time, I think it was a zipper again. That, or I think I had accidentally left my keys in my pocket. No, it was the zipper. It was I was wearing the same pair of pants I wear at Tulsa a couple days before. I know too much information, but I was wearing the same pair of shorts, and it set it off again. But yeah, they were just simply doing their jobs. And I think they weren't picking on me when that happened. That was because the alarm went off all 3 of those times. But if we had the same security we have now on that day, these attacks would have easily been prevented. I think this was 100% a wake-up call to, hey, we need better security at airports, at U.S. airports. And I've flown through like I said, I've flown through, I think 13, no, XNA. I've flown out of it. I've flown out of XNA, Charlotte, Dallas Fort Worth, Dallas Love Field, Chicago Midway, Tulsa, Houston, Denver, Phoenix. I feel like I'm forgetting one. 9 different airports. I really feel like I'm forgetting one. I'll be right back. Alright, I was right. I wasn't thinking, but apparently I was right. But the times I had to go through TSA at those airports, but I didn't go through TSA at all but Midway, Denver, and Phoenix. Those were layovers. So I had to go through TSA again. But all the times I've gone through TSA, I completely understood why they had to do the job. I knew they weren't picking on me. I set off something I was wearing set off the detector, so they had to pat me down. And the security was not this tight until 2001, and everyone's asking me, how did 108 minutes change the world? Well, those 108 minutes could have easily been prevented if we just had the same security we have now. The reason why we have the same security we have now was because of those 108 minutes that we had on September 11, 2001. 108 minutes changed our world. We do not have the Twin Towers anymore because of it. Part of the Pentagon is gone. Well, I think it's rebuilt now. Unless they decided to just build it into a Flight 77 museum. But part of the Pentagon collapsed that day. And then there's a crater in Pennsylvania that was not there before United 93. I would say to the people who might be watching from above, who were on Flight 93, you saved so many lives. So many lives. Just imagine if you did not try to take back over. What would have happened? We would have found out where it was going. It was either destined. I was told it was either destined for the White House or the Capitol building. Which Capitol building eventually did have an attack, which I am not going to ever talk about on this channel. But just imagine if you guys did not take back over. You guys saved so many lives that day. We would have easily went above 3,000 lives lost if you guys did not try to retake United 93. This is my September 11th timeline vid. If you guys don't know what to do, I just go ahead and remind you, like, subscribe, comment, favorite, be nice, go be awesome, air paid, don't hate. See you later.